Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Master Zerg from YGG Gaming, and I'm going to show you the Terran unit guide. So, you got your SCV, that's your production guy. You make them, you want to constantly be making them out of your command center to constantly have minerals. That's your most important guy, actually, probably in the entire game. Then you got the Marine, that's your basic damage guy. He does 6 damage. He just shoots bullets at creatures that come at him. That's basically how you can describe that. You can stim him and he'll do extra damage. But it does do a little bit of damage to the Marine itself. Marauder, same thing with the stim. You can get concussive shells. There we go. And that slows down anything that's hit by the Marauder. It has extra life and does a little bit more damage versus armored. Does a tiny bit less damage than Marines against normal units, I guess you could call it, and it can only hit ground. Marines can hit air and ground. Reaper, this is usually your first unit that you make. Some people don't, but this guy is just, he goes in, he tries to do a little bit of damage, he backs out. You can throw down this KD8 charge, and it'll do 10 damage to units and knock them all over the place. You can jump up cliffs, and it regenerates life while out of combat. It cannot hit air. The Ghost, however, can. You can nuke, and we're just gonna do this. You can nuke, and what this does, this area, it does damage, and you can snipe, and that does a lot of damage too. It does 170 damage. It takes energy, so you can technically do 4 for every ghost if you have full energy. That's the nuke. EMP round, it does 100 damage to all shields and energy and all that stuff. And cloak units are revealed, and he can cloak himself, and it requires energy 1.3 per second. Then you got the Hellion, which is a pretty good harass unit. You can go into the mineral line and burn up their economy and maybe even get out. You can turn them into Hellbats, which do have more health, and they're more for combat. Excuse me. And then you got the Siege Tank. This guy, you can siege up. You can do all kinds of really cool medevac dropping, and that's really fun to do, so you guys can try that. This guy does splash damage to a pretty big area. He does a lot more damage. This guy is more of the, he can move around, and he can do damage, and it's more mobile. Then you got the Thor, which is a really heavy mech unit. And what this guy does, you can actually use high impact payload, and this his cannons strike a single target, and they do a lot of damage. And I feel like this. Okay, yeah, okay. I have actually not played with Thors in a long time, so I didn't even really know about this. So that's pretty cool. And this just guys does a lot of damage. Pretty good against roaches and stuff like that for mech. Vikings, you can go around and take out Thors. Sorry, not Thors. Ha, that doesn't make sense. You can take out Overlords. That's a really good thing to do. You can kill Overlords. You can use them for late game mech or something like that. Really neat. They're anti-air. Medevacs, you can use them to drop. They can heal, and they can use afterburners, which speeds them up really quickly. You can do drop in mineral lines, stuff like that. Ravens, they detect automatically. You can throw down an auto turret on the ground, and it does a little bit of damage. You can build point defense drones, so PDDs, and they basically, I don't know if you guys played Command and Conquer, but they're basically the version of a Tomahawk, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's the Hummer with the little upgrade to it, the turret. Anyway, I'm not sure if any of you guys really know about that. If you do play Command and Conquer and you do know about that unit, give them a shout out in the chat, because that was a really awesome unit. Anyway, Secret Missiles, they can just basically follow a unit that you select, and they will explode and do AoE damage to anything in the area that's too close to it. And then you have the Banshee. It does a lot of damage to ground units. Usually it's used for harassing bases in the somewhat early game, transition into mid. You can still use them in late game. Battle cruisers have a lot of health. They do a lot of damage. Really good against air and ground. Their corruptors are really good against them. Phoenixes are really good against them. Basically, any anti-air is good against them. So they're really good against pretty much everything else. Hellbats, already went over them. Widow mines, they can be burrowed, and they do a lot of damage to things in about that much of a radius, and they just do AoE damage, and they do a lot. Let's see, and you can sneak them because uh, they're burrowed, so you can't see them unless you have detection. Cyclones, if you watch my video on the Cyclone Hellion type of build, you can see what they do. Basically, you can lock on, or they lock on automatically, but they do less damage. But these, they do a lot of damage, 400 damage over 14 seconds. They do a lot of damage against roaches or or anything in air. So they're really useful. Liberators, you can use them, and you can siege them up, and they basically just a large area, anything that comes in their way, they do 85 damage to. So they really do a lot of damage. And so these guys are really good in mech armies, late game. Usually once you get your 5th medevac as a Terran, you start getting these bad boys, and you can use them to harass mineral lines. So these are basically all the units. Well, they are all the units for Terrans that they can just play around with. They're really effective. Terran has a pretty good army comp going for them. So if you guys want to see more stuff like this, let me know in the comments, and subscribe to watch more videos. And have a great time. I am Ash Dessert from YGG Gaming. Have a great day.